Yes, I will not beatbox.
Scratch.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Barber College Success. If you could tell by my voice being on here first, our fearless leader who has been holding us down. He has been LeBron without Kyrie and Kevin Love. He has been cooking for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he is taking some time to himself today. So, speaking about our brother Craig Charles, I am Ammi Fields. Am I your barber?
And then, oh my gosh,
Go
my
ahead.
voice is
Your voice
cracked so bad.
How old are you, Jordan? Jordan's still new to barber. That's how young he is. His voice cracks.
Jordan Barr for Bristol, Tennessee. J Bob on Instagram.
And I would like to. We got a guest here today. I'm gonna gas him up a little bit because he won't do it himself. It is. I won't say his name. I'll let him say his own name.
An amazing barber.
Amazing barber. Amazing person. Amazing friend. This man is all the above and one of the hardest working individuals I've ever met. Not just in barbering, in life. And now you can say your name. Tell him your name.
That's far to come, but I appreciate it. Ryan White on Instagram at The Common People Barber.
Common People Barber. What a dope name. Today we're coming here. We got a few topics to talk about. We're going to flow, and we're going to talk about some real life ish. You know, we're going to talk about stuff that we're going through. Ryan, it's always great to have you. Ryan is one of my best friends. The man has come to my shop and blessed my shop. He's blessed my life in many ways, and I know if I ever need anything, I can pick my phone up and give him a call, and he's going to answer. So if y'all ever get a genuine friend, Ryan is that to me. I'm just happy that you're here, man. You know what I'm saying? We need a guest, and guess what? Ryan pulled up. Exactly.
He came up.
No question. There was no hesitation. I don't even think you checked the schedule. We just made it happen, right?
Yeah, we just found an extra hour in there, and yeah,
that's
found
awesome.
a way, yeah,
that's awesome. So Ryan, you do a lot of things, man. Tell the people some of the things that you do. You're more than just a barber.
Yeah, so I'm a high school teacher. I teach business classes, and I am a private baseball instructor as well. I coached high school baseball for 10 years and got out of that whenever I started barbering because I just couldn't juggle everything. And then I am a barber by night, I guess you could say.
So you're full-time, all this is full-time stuff. Like there's no part-time anything.
No, I think when you get in the habit of looking at anything like part-time, yes, I only do baseball lessons 1 day a week to get my toe just kind of dipped in the water. But I think when you start looking at like, oh, this is part-time and that's part-time and it makes full-time, I just look at it like teaching and barbering as my business. As a business owner, you have to have the mindset that it's full-time, instead of 2 part-time things. So, yeah.
You were deep into a career. Like you were teaching for how long before you decided why all of a sudden barbering?
Well, I guess that was a silver lining of the pandemic for me. That's when I went to barber school. I'd always wanted to, and whenever the spring hit, where they basically told us, halfway through the semester, like, you guys are going home and you're not coming back. The silver lining was I was able to get the first few months of barber school knocked out, and then, of course, teachers had the summers off. So then I was able to knock out the next few months of barber school. So I had like 6-7 months of barber school in my belt before I just finished up some night classes like in the fall and winter. So
it worked out perfect.
Yeah,
Sounds like.
I just got lucky with the timing of it. I always wanted to go, but I never knew how I was going to make it work because most classes during the day, and if you just go at night, the whole time, the 1,500 hours is going to take several years. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
But why? Why barbering? Why coaching, teaching, and then how did barbering come about? Like what inspired that for you?
I think it's several things. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy building relationships. Like that's a big part of everything that I already do. And I always had like an artistic side to me as well that I didn't really get to express as a former athlete and a coach, because that your whole life is devoted to those things. Mm-hmm. And I had that little side of me that wanted to dabble in that at some point. And then I also, as a business teacher, I wanted to practice what I preach. So I wanted to become a business owner too. So really, when you take all those aspects and marry them together, a barber is a perfect career to do those things. So.
And your business structure is very unique. There are probably some other barbers doing what you're doing, but to our area, it's very unique. So you want to tell us kind of how your business works?
Yeah. So I'm mostly a mobile barber. And the reason I was a mobile barber, had that idea to begin with, was not just because not a whole lot of people are doing it, but more or less because of the fact that it allowed me to be flexible while already having a full-time job, and I could work around things. And I knew I wasn't going to do as many cuts as other people. And like we were talking about beforehand with like booth rent and all the different things like that, mobile barbering allows your overhead to be so much less because I'm not paying commission or rent when I go to an office or house or wherever I'm going to cut hair. So it's twofold. It allows me to be flexible with my schedule, and it keeps my overhead low because I'm not doing as many cuts as you would need to do if you were renting a booth or commission or whatever.
That's awesome. It's awesome. That's one thing. One of the things we came in, talked about today, real life stuff, inflation, and I think the overall growth of the barber industry is causing a lot of decisions to be made as far as like pricing for haircuts, location. Do you want to do a suite? Do you want to be mobile? Do you want to, stay in a shop? Jordan, how do you feel about some of these things coming about? We're all making some decisions now.
So recently, I've been having to make a decision of staying in the shop or if I want to go into my own little, suite, or I've thought about even starting a shop. But I think I'm gonna go the suite route.
Why not the shop?
Why not the shop? I just think I've been thinking about it for about a year now. I've been really wanting to kind of branch out on my own by myself, so I can get my own room, be able to decorate it the way I want it, establish the environment the way I want it.
So you're gonna create a shop.
I guess a shop, but not a shop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I just want to have a room to myself to where I can have more exclusive, more privacy. I can offer more services. Obviously I can still do that in the shop too, but still, as just certain things, I feel like it's more suitable when you have like a suite,
And that's one thing I've noticed about the industry now is like a lot of barbers are going towards suites, and it's a barber industry right now. Right now I have a shop, but it's just me in there. And man, I tell you what, I kind of like being by myself, and I don't hate it. You got any?
I think this is like the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. Like a suite can also be a good launching pad to having a shop one day, because now you're not that you're not building your brand always when you're a part of another shop, but like if you go that route and you have your own thing, you are building that brand, and it's you now, especially you. And the big thing is at that point you're not managing other people, right? That's the number one headache.
That's the one.
A shop.
Yeah,
even if you have good employees, it's just still more work. So I don't think that it's a bad route to kind of use that as a launching pad to doing something like that one day. I mean, I'm sure you guys talk about this, but so many young barbers that come out, they want to open a shop right away, and it's not necessarily always the best move. Doesn't mean they're not capable.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they can't do it, but I mean,
there's a lot of stuff that you need to learn. I feel like that you will learn if you work in a shop before you open up your own shop. But I feel like I'll make it easier with how you want to have it set up later on. Like you'll learn what not to do, what to do, what stuff you pick up while you're in the shop, how to bring clients into the shop. Like, it's just a lot of stuff that I feel like you'll learn going to a shop first instead of just jumping straight out of school into a shop.
And that's true, but I also do feel like there's a lot of stuff you don't learn until you actually do the business management part of it.
Which is true too.
And I think that's important. I mean, you can get your toes in the water for sure. And I did learn a lot kind of the structure, but it also teaches you bad habits as well. Like, I learned a lot of bad habits from working in the shops. One thing that I when we went to the OG Barber Conference, it was me, Craig, Micah, and it was a shout out to OG Barber Conference in Greenville, Tennessee. Tyreek Jackson was there, and one thing that I don't know if it was so much. It seemed like there was almost a back and forth because Tyreek Jackson is a school owner. It was very civil. It was a lot of respectful, successful people in industry having constructive conversations. And one of the conversations I think was almost vilifying the schools, that the schools aren't equipping barbers with what they need when they get in the shop. And Tyreek Jackson made a huge and very interesting point, saying this is a barber's market right now. If you are a booked barber, if you're fully booked, you're professional, you're good at marketing yourself, there's no reason for you to actually need a shop. You don't need a shop. Why would you go and give your money to somebody else? If you can manage your money well and do all those things. So really what's having to happen is people that are owning shops are having to train the barbers in their shops, getting fresh, raw students and teaching them not only how to cut hair, but the management part, the customer service part. And that's kind of what's going to have to happen if you're going to have a shop. You're going to have to teach in the shop as well. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm by myself, obviously, with what I do. So there's some downside of that too. I miss the barbershop vibes, the camaraderie, what we all love about just hanging in the barbershop. But I don't have to deal with a lot of what you talked about.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, and the thing on the schools too, and Tyreek runs a really good school. There's just so often that like even I still hear it like, oh, I didn't learn that in school. Or I didn't learn that in school, and a lot of times somebody will say, I'm like, where do you go to school at? And I'm like, well, I went to school there too.
Yeah.
Jordan went to school there too. Like, there's a lot of heavy hitters that still figured it out somehow that came out of there okay. Like, there's nothing, you're not going to get everything in 1,500 hours. If
No,
you're not
it's not
continuing
possible.
education when you get done and you're not still working, then there's always something to learn. I need to get better at so many things, right? I'm happy with where I'm at, but like we all need to get better at stuff.
And I don't feel like I'll ever be at a place where I got it all figured out. Jordan, do you have any thoughts on that? As far because you've been in the shop for a while.
Yes, I've been in there for 2 years. I was like you said, I still have a lot of stuff that I'm trying to figure out. Like more, I'm trying to learn more of the business aspect of barbering right now, which is I feel like most of that's not going to come until I do it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to take that step to be by myself. That's why I kind of want to get my own spot so I can learn everything. And like, I mean, as far as haircutting, I'm still learning. There's still a lot more stuff I need to learn about that. But I feel like I put more time into learning how to do my haircuts and putting myself out there for my clients and getting more clients. I feel like it's time for me to take a step back from that for a little bit and start working towards the business side of it.
So being by yourself, what other things influence your decision to be by yourself? Like what in your mind makes you think that that's a good idea?
I think I want to hold myself more accountable for like, I think when you're by yourself, I feel like you have no other person to sit there and blame it on besides yourself.
You're right.
So I feel like it's going to push me even farther than when I am right now being in the shop.
I think it's like knowing who your clientele is too.
Yeah.
Like being by yourself, you have to create a different atmosphere almost when you do that versus just the shop alone. And if you have a clientele that is what you would consider a more premium or higher paying clientele, or their demographic is, with their income level and stuff is higher, then they come to expect a different level of service, whether it's just the ambiance, the cleanliness, the music you have on, whatever. Like the shop needs to be, or that suite needs to be like a step up too. And I don't know, you create a totally different vibe when you're by yourself. Like,
yeah. And it'll be yours, like, and that's one thing about opening a shop with me is like, I worked at a shop. I worked in a couple different shops. The first shop was really cool, sportsy kind of shop. Had jerseys on the wall, and that brought conversations. I like sports. I enjoyed that aspect. And then I worked in more of a kind of gave off an antique vibe type shop, which I try to bring life anywhere I go. I try to make it mine anyways. And now that I have my own spot, it's just so much more comfortable to walk in there, and it's like breathing in fresh air, because everything that I put into my shop is everything that I loved and I enjoyed. And I think that really attracts the kind of clientele as well that enjoy those things. Like I have artwork in my dad's artwork in my shop, plants, and those things to me are what I enjoy. And the people that appreciate it are people that I want to cut their hair. And it's funny how that works.
I think it'll bring like I know my clientele is like, they're all supportive of everything that I do. They want me to do what I want to do because they support me. So, I mean, I feel like the suite is the right move. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I've talked to a lot of people about it, and they all support, So I think I'm going to go for it. I think that's time to take that step.
Yeah, I respect it. You got any advice for them?
I mean, you just have to know your numbers. I feel like I don't know I'm sure you're super busy, and I know you're a great barber. So, like, the numbers just have to make sense for all the other supplementary costs that you're going to accrue. Like, yeah, the booth, when you're at the barbershop, you're paying the booth rent or whatever, and it may be high, but now you're also paying like
utilities,
the insurance, utilities, the water, the
Wi-Fi.
all the supplies, the Wi-Fi, the TV, the whatever, you know what I mean? All the things you have to buy for it. So even if it's just starting capital stuff, like you're buying your own, now you got to go buy a couple grand chair. You got a, maybe you got a refrigerator in there. Maybe you got a shampoo bowl in there. Like all the starting capital, and of course that you might already find a space that has all those things. So yeah, just adding all that kind of stuff up and seeing when you're ready to make the move to where it's not painful for you to make the move.
So I have a question for you. If it was you in my predicament, would you take out like a personal loan, a business loan?
Well, pause for a second. Well, why don't you, if you're comfortable elaborating, you don't have to get specific, but just kind of sharing your position with you wanting to move, like
why I've really went for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I'm in the shop now, and we had a meeting about last week, and we started a whole new contractual agreement, and it's not really. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not like it's a good thing for the shop, but it's not like it's something that I feel like it's not going to be beneficial for me. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's definitely forcing me to be out. So I have until July 1st. Yeah. I have until July 1st, which I wasn't really expecting to move out. Well, actually, I wouldn't say that. I was planning on actually getting out pretty soon. So I wouldn't sit here and say that it's the contract that's going to do it. I was going to do it regardless, but just really gave it.
That's the extra push.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, we had to talk and everything. I understand nothing against my shop owner. He's a good shop owner. He does his thing. But yeah, it's just certain things like that. I feel like it'll definitely push you to make a decision when it comes time. I don't know if anybody's going to have that.
That happens in your life. It happens all throughout life. Like things happen that it makes you gotta show your hand eventually. Like somebody. It's just part of the game. It's part of life. Life is a constant decision making every single day. Like you make decisions every single day, and from small to big. And sometimes you have those seasons where you have to make larger decisions and then make like larger impacts on your life. And that's kind of like where you're at right now. But sorry to interrupt your question. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm just like, I'm too nice and I don't like hurting people's feelings. And that's the part where it starts. I'm like, I'm a people pleaser. I don't know. I'm
happy that you brought that up.
And in my mind, I'm like, dang, man, I hope this doesn't affect our relationship that we built over these 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's just like, but in my mind, I'm like, man, I gotta go. Like it's something that has to be done for me, not for, in his mind, he's not, thinking probably that he's going to hurt my feelings, probably, most likely. So
he's doing the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah. So I was just like, it is what it is. If I'm going to try, tell him, I haven't told him yet, but obviously I think,
he's having the same emotions that you're having right now.
Yeah,
the same emotions.
Because when we had the meeting, I could tell he was kind of nervous, and to even say and show the contract and everything that's supposed to be done.
And he's making a decision for himself too, and it is fair, like it's fair. I feel like you had something that you want to say.
No, just now to try to go with what you're saying. It's like, what does that contract lock you into?
What do you mean?
Like, if you sign it, what happens?
I have to stay for another year.
Oh, it's a year contract. You're committing to another year.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: if you leave before a year's up, what is the penalty?
You get charged 20% of your booth rent. 20%,
like each month till it's out, type thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like an apartment where if you just leave early, you just still have to just pay all the rent. It's like you're being charged 20% of whatever that would be, depending on how long you.
Yeah, and then plus whatever on top of where you go, the next whatever place you go to. So that's stacked on top of.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't know that's. This is gonna sound crazy because it's gonna sound like a possible waste of money, but I don't know your current financial situation because I would have to look at how much starting capital you have and how much you have saved up and stuff to do the sweet thing on your own already, if you've got money earmarked for that. But the reality is it might benefit you to stay for a little while, even if you break the lease later, and just pay the difference just so that you can have enough starting capital to not have to take out a loan when you start. just leaving like 6 months early or 3 months early or 2 months earlier. And loans aren't a bad thing per se, but like with interest rates and stuff, what they are right now, and they're looking at economic indicators, they're not going to come down from what they are for like a while. Like they just paused them for the first time in 18 months on the last time they had to make a decision, but they're still sky high right now. So, yeah, like borrowing money is expensive right now, I guess is what I would say. And so you got to consider like that it might actually be worth it to break it if you're only paying 20%. Because see, I know you hear 20%, you're like, dang, that's a lot to have to pay to just throw in the trash. But like, I thought you were going to say like you had to pay it all. So when I heard 20%, I was like, that ain't that bad.
That's not what you wanted to hear, was it?
No, that's fine. I'm kind of glad that I'm kind of like getting different perspectives from
You might even stay a whole nother year and then realize like, and not break it at all. And then realize like, hey, that's, even though I wanted to go ahead and go, like it allowed me to have enough money to start, you know, like how old are you, man? You're killing
I'm 24.
it. Yeah, that's my point. Like you're killing it. Like you're.
I know, but it's just like the place that I found is actually way cheaper than booth rent.
What he's saying though, and this is from somebody that just opened a shop.
Yeah.
The initial startup money that you will need. I think I took out a loan for $8,000, which doesn't sound like a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a personal loan, so I'm paying like six or more % interest, and it's $250 a month is what I'm paying on top of paying rent. So I'm paying $650 for everything, which is a blessing. Which you probably won't find that in Bristol. So with the loan tacked on it, that's $900 a month is what I pay roughly, and the money that you need to start up, I spent $8,000 in probably 2 weeks.
Okay, so I have money saved.
I was going to tell us how much you're going to get robbed before you walked out of here.
As I have quite a bit of money saved.
Well, that's awesome.
So
then that's different.
100% changes
yeah.
the
So I
situation.
wouldn't need if I did take out a loan, maybe like 2,000, maybe something like that.
You should probably take something out. If you got money saved up, I wouldn't use
not all
my,
of it. Yeah, I know. But I was just like I've thought about it for a while, so I've been saving money. So I've and the place I found is actually one of my friends. He just bought the building, and he wants me in there. So he's giving me, it's $310 a month for the room, and he's paying for the water and everything else.
Okay.
So all I have to really do is pay for the room.
What are your other, like, have you added up what your other costs would be to
For like insurance and stuff like that,
just to like, because you're going to have to buy a chair, you're going to have to buy.
I've been adding stuff to my cart right now. It's up to like 3,000.
Okay.
So
What is in your cart?
chair, barber station,
How much is your barber station?
like 1,100.
What are you getting?
I'm getting the one with the built-in mirror on it.
Bro, you can get a toolbox for $300.
I know, but I need a mirror.
You can get a mirror for $300.
You're right.
I just saved you.
You're right. But I want one of those, I don't know where to get one of those full body.
You can get them at Walmart. You can go. There's a lot of places you can get those things. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay.
Well, less than that probably then.
That's another thing. You need to kind of look at your options as far as that goes. Which I mean, it's okay.
There's a happy balance with that though too, because I understand wanting to have like the nicest of everything, but I also understand wanting to save money. But at the same time, there's a nice middle ground where you can still have nice stuff, but look to shave a little bit off here and there. But the reality is too, it's important to have nice stuff, like, because if you're in this suite and you're, booked up, charging a premium price for our area and things like that, like it needs to feel like that too. So not that you need to spend $1,100 on a barber station, but at the same time, like I wouldn't, if you don't want a toolbox, you don't have to get a toolbox either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I guess my point is like, there you got to balance both of those things.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy for you, and it sounds like you got it planned out. But taking everything down to zero, that's where you want to start. Like you want to figure out how much money you got, and you want to start subtracting stuff. And there's things you're not going to know about. Like you probably want to go ahead and get an LLC. I guess if it's by yourself in a suite, you probably don't necessarily need an LLC.
But I mean, would you think it'd be a good idea to get one? Okay.
It won't hurt, but I mean that costs money.
Yeah.
You're going to have insurance. Mm-hmm. I mean, because things happen. You just never know. And mine is like I pay like $60 some a month, which isn't terrible. That's another fee. I didn't think about that. So I'm right at a rack. Just insurance, loan, and rent. That's $1,000. And I have you're not going to find rent like I got in Bristol. Mm-hmm. Well, you say you're paying $300. Mm-hmm. So
is that a week?
A month.
What in the world?
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
So,
Okay.
and it's a pretty decent sized room. Like it's pretty big
I
and it's
believe you.
nice. Like, so I was like, yeah. So, I mean, I asked him if he had to pay water or if I needed. He said if I needed a sink. He just wants me in there. He's just like
He
I'm
just
part
needs,
of
he
his-
needs somebody to help
he
pay
needs
that mortgage.
people. Yeah, so he needs people in there to help build the business, and he's willing to cooperate with anything I want. So
Well, if you, yeah, I mean, you sound like the way that you've talked, it sounds like you have it figured out pretty well, man. Honestly, I don't think you're that far off as maybe you think you are, as far as not knowing what's going on.
I hope.
I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
You gotta be all in though. You can't have one toe in the water. If that's what you want to
yeah.
do, start doing it.
I'm actually going to the bank after I leave here. So
What you gonna do at the bank?
guess take out a little loan at least.
What bank?
Eastman.
Why them?
They gave me the. I think they're the only one that. Well, that was my first place I actually took my first.
I was
loan.
gonna say you got nowhere else, did you?
No. I got 2 banks though. So
Yeah, shop around.
Yeah.
Same way on the insurance, same way on the banks.
different banks at different interests.
Yeah, they have different things they can offer you. Yeah.
They have different packages. The
Different
bank is
products.
like, they call it products. I mean, they're trying to sell you something. They make money that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes they have promotions, like it just depends on what it is. And, they call it products. Sometimes, 0% down, you put this much money down, we can do this. It's a lot of different things they can do with you. That's why you should shop around. I mean, and if you're listening,
Always.
that's another thing. I mean, I respect that. Like for me, I go to a certain bank because I have a relationship with that bank.
Mm-hmm.
But you should definitely shop around. You shouldn't just, hey, this is what we got. This is what you get, and sometimes they try to make you feel that's their job. They want you to borrow money from them, but you have options. You don't have to take the money from the first place you go.
okay, I'll keep that in mind.
That's a good conversation.
I'll keep that
I
in
mean,
mind.
it's not. It's even if you wanted to after this, like I could walk you through the basic steps of like what you need to do from setting it up, getting a tax ID number, business bank account, business license, insurance permits. Like it's not that it's hard. It's just a checklist of stuff.
Ryan's like the emergency contact.
Yeah,
He's the emergency contact in my phone.
he knows everything that's business. I'm telling you right now.
I don't, but I mean, I have a degree in it. I teach it.
Yeah.
It's like I should know some basic stuff. And the reality is that like, it's so important to me to be a teacher still too, even though I'm a barber, because the fact that I feel like I don't want any of my students to walk out and be like, if I want to start a business one day, I don't know how to do it. I don't want any of them to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Because so many of us have to go seek and find on our own. Like even though I graduated with a business degree, I still had to like go get on the phone with the Department of Revenue and get on the phone with these people and those people and hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? Like I didn't know. Like I had to just seek it out. I spent a lot of time on the phone, emailing a lot of people, like, and you just figure it out,
So what are some of the let's say cons of the mobile barbering thing that you have? Are there any cons that you feel like, or other than missing out on the barber shop
I think,
banter?
Well, you miss out on that, and I think you miss out on learning from other barbers. Some barbers in the shop, a lot of barbers in the same shop usually have a similar vibe, but a lot of shops, if they got 5-6 people, they all have a little different cutting style, or they all have a little bit different this or that. I think your network's a little bit smaller, even though I feel like I have a huge network as a barber, but your network's a little bit smaller.
That's a big deal.
It's incredibly big deal. What else do I feel like I miss out on? The marketing of a shop is helpful too. Like when you do it all by yourself, it's a different ball game, because I don't know what it's like at y'all's. I mean, I know you got your own spot, but I don't know what it's like at your barbershop, Jordan. But like, now you're going to answer every phone call.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to book every appointment.
I kind of already do that.
Yeah, and that's good because you already got practice for it.
Yeah.
But at a lot of barbershops, though, those duties are divided up.
Mm-hmm.
If the bathroom needs clean, you might be doing that on Mondays, and somebody else doing it on Tuesday. Or
He will be doing that every week.
Yeah, making the hot towel.
$50.
Yeah. You're the accountant. You're the tax keeper or bookkeeper. You're the social media poster. You're everything. So some people like the control of that, but it is more work.
It's a lot more work. And that's one thing that for me right now, I'm looking to hire somebody because, and it's not necessarily that I want to delegate any tasks to anybody, which would be helpful, but just it's so hard. When you're a barber and somebody walks in the door and you're booked up for 2 weeks, you're like, I'm booked up for 2 weeks. You'll have to, it's like you're happy to say that. When you're a shop owner, it's like, and you can't get somebody and say, hey, man, I'm a week in advance. That hurts.
Yeah.
That's money walking out the door. I'd rather have somebody else there
Yeah,
put
I can
that
pick
money
it up.
into their pocket
Yeah.
than to just let it walk out the door. So, I mean, the mindset is totally different.
Yeah, I hate telling people I can't get them. It makes me, like, when they'll come in, they're like, yeah, you got any spots open? I'm like, no, but I can fit you in tomorrow. I'll try to fit them in if I can.
Sure.
But sometimes they want a haircut on that day, so just.
But that's why, like, what we were talking about a little bit before we started the show of, like, figuring out with pricing and stuff, like, that was the number one way to know that you need to raise your prices if your demand dictates that.
Wonderful point.
So
I think each of you have gone up in your prices here recently.
Yes.
Why? Because did you start getting overly booked? You felt like you need more time?
I'll go first. I mean, really, I wasn't really going to go up on my prices, but the shop in the whole went up in their prices. So I was like, Jonathan was like, I'm about to go up to 25 because we was charging 16 for walk-ins. We was like the cheapest in Bristol. And he was like, yeah, I feel like we're good enough to where we can charge 25.
You went from 16 to 25?
Yeah. And he was like, well, I'm going to go to 25 for walk-ins and then, 30 for haircut and beard and all stuff. And he was like, well, so that means appointments prices are going to go up $5. So I was like, okay, I'll just go up $5. And
what were the appointments to begin with?
I think they were 25, I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So those went to like 30, I guess.
I think they might have been 30. Maybe. I can't remember actually.
Either way, they went up by $5.
Yeah, but now I charge 35 and 40 for a beard trim for haircut appointments, and then walk-ins at 25.
Walk-ins 25.
Yeah.
I love barbering because either somebody's listening right now saying, "Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money," or somebody's going, "I'll never work for that. I'll never work for that amount of money."
I'm like, it's really. I mean, I guess
you got to consider where we live, though, man.
Yeah.
Because the cost of living here is so low.
I just think it's fun.
Yeah.
I think that part's fun, but and your reasoning too for like why you went up.
Yeah, mine was 100% just based on demand. I think, and I tell this to people that leave school, I think the most underrated decision that a barber student makes when they graduate is what they set their initial price at. It's the most underrated decision you make because it sets the precedent for what you're going to do next, right? Y'all were at 16. If you were like, hey, we're going to 40, like, that shop may close next month. If you do that.
You never know.
But then again, if you raise your price by $3 and demand doesn't die at all, then you just raised your price and didn't solve any of your problems. You make a little bit more money, but you didn't solve any of your problems. So it's like setting up your price is almost like what allows you to figure out what the next jump is, or the next jump. Not that you're doing it maybe for a while, but setting that initial price is huge. And of course, your like customer service, your marketing, your cutting skills, like all those things have to equal up to the experience that you're offering has to equal the money that you're charging. So mine really hit me when I have a client, every time he gets out of the chair, he don't even look at the calendar. He's always like, hey man, just throw me the same time in 3 weeks. And I'm always like, okay, cool. And I just pop out my phone and do it. Well, I guess a few months back, he's like, throw me down for 3 weeks, same time. And I was like, hold on, don't leave yet. I don't have anything.
Oh man.
And he was like, what? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'll get you the day before, the day after, whatever. We can still get you in about 3 weeks, but I don't have anything. He goes, I'll buy that other guy's slot.
That's how you, okay.
I was like, hold on a second. And then it really hit me. I said, well, number one, I can't let you buy somebody else's slot because he's just as important as you are.
Yeah.
But it taught me two things. Number one, my demand, if I couldn't even book the next appointment for the person that was sitting in my chair, then I need to make an adjustment. Number two, it taught me that some people are willing to pay more for the convenience of that time slot because that was a day that like he didn't have his son that with him that day. He got off work early that day. It was like he could just go get his hair cut on that day, and he knew for a fact he had that free time every 3 weeks. And so I knew that people were willing to pay more, and I, for lack of a better word, had to kill demand just a little bit. You don't want to kill it too much. So then when I go into my pricing and figuring out what I'm going to charge or how much I'm going to jump it, I'll use rough math here just to help anybody that's listening.
The Ron White formula.
No, this is just basic math. This is simple. Like this is how every barber should think on this because it's a fact. It's not like an opinion of something, right? If you jump your prices by X percentage, then that's how many clients you can stand to lose, and that's your break-even point, right? So let's say I was charging $30, okay, and I go from 30 to 40. If I go from 30 to 40, that's a 25% increase. that means I can lose up to 25% of my regular clientele.
And be okay.
Rough math here, and be okay. If I lose more than that,
You're losing money.
then I'm losing money. If I lose less than that, then I'm making money. And if I'm cutting the exact same or right at 25% or lose right at 25%, that means that I'm breaking even. But that's still a W because I am cutting less hair and making the same amount of money.
You've opened yourself up.
Which is the whole reason for raising your price anyways, was to open some more availability for people that probably couldn't get in before. Like you said, you had people who would call and be like, I can't get in or whatever. So you just have to do the math on like what your percentage increase is and then what you're wanting to do it by. And then I also talk to 2 or 3 of my clients in each kind of income level. I know what their jobs are. I know what they do. And they're like, if you raise it by $5, dude, like nobody's going to leave. So you're not going to have solved your problem.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I was telling Jordan, if you raise it by $20, at one time, like you're going to lose way more than you want. And now we've created an even bigger problem because, I may be having $50, $60 cuts now. That's great. But if nobody's walking the door, now that's a problem too. So it's a tough decision. And I poured over it for days and days and days.
Because you care.
Yeah.
You care about the people you cut. You like the people you cut.
It's not always about the money sometimes.
You're not even wanting to raise price necessarily. You're
right.
just trying to help everybody out.
Yeah.
And I think about that. Like sometimes I'll be cutting somebody's hair and not in a negative way. I'll be like, this guy works here. And I know he makes this much an hour. I know how many hours it takes for him to pay me to work, to pay for this haircut. And I think about that sometimes. And I think as barbers who genuinely care, and I think if you're going to be a successful barber, you have to genuinely care about the people that you cut. So when you raise your price, it's heavy hearted, just like Jonathan, just like shop owners will care about their employees. You value your employees if you got good employees, but you got to make it profitable for yourself. And it's heavy hearted when a shop owner has to say, hey, I'm raising the rent. So I don't think they do it lightly. Sometimes they do it in different ways. Sometimes the only way for them to do it is say, hey, I'm raising the rent, which seems aggressive and almost like they don't care, but sometimes it's the only way for them to do it.
Yeah, sure.
And don't get upset. Like don't get in your feelings at first, kind of take a step back and analyze the situation. Like Ron said, if the buyout's only 20%, sometimes it's better just to stay there and see what it's like. It's cheaper.
Yeah, maybe.
And honestly, initially, if you really want to see your money management skills, if you did that for a few months, then you're like, hey, if I can do this, then this rent is this X amount of dollars, then it'd be an easier transition for you. So this is a great talk, man. I'm glad.
Dude, I'll add this to it too. Here's where the heavy-hearted part hit me. As a high school teacher, like I cut a lot of my students, and they were already scraping together what they could to pay the price that I was charging to begin with. Mm-hmm. And that already was like hard on my heart sometimes too.
See, that don't bother me.
See,
because they're gonna go ask mom and dad. Like they don't care. They say, "Hey, mom, let me get that 40 for that cut."
So, do you come down on their prices just a little bit? If they really need a haircut, will you try to fit them in? Because sometimes I do that.
Good question.
I'm not going to sit there and lie to you.
Do you discount your cuts ever?
Never.
A core value belief I have, it makes maybe different for everybody else. I have 2 prices. I got full price or free.
Okay.
I don't do a discount because I value myself too highly to do so, and I'd rather just give it to you for free than for 20% off. So I give a lot of free cuts. I won't say a lot, but I will say every month, probably several. But I don't ever discount a cut, and I never will.
Do you factor in? Do you ever keep track of the amount of free cuts that you give away, or is it just like you're in the moment? Like for me personally, like if you come in,
it's a God thing for me.
Me too. And if you come in and you have had a rough week, or I know that you're going through something, or you've been a steady client for a certain amount of time and you just want to bless somebody. I got clients that have been with me since day one. Every price change, never complain, just pay the next, whatever. And, sometimes you just want to bless people. So what are you just like, you feel it? Like when you give away a free cut, what does it feel like?
Yeah, you nailed it. Like I don't even have nothing else to say to that. You nailed it. Like it's a God thing for me. If I feel God pulling on my heartstrings and working on me, and it's like you need to, help this guy out, then that's what I do. Mm-hmm. And I don't question it. I just do it. And I know whatever needs to happen will happen. That doesn't make me right though about not giving discounts. I'm just also of the thought that like when you give discounts, people expect them every time.
Yeah.
And nobody expects a free haircut every single time. Mm-hmm. So when you bless somebody like that, I think too that they're more willing to like,
come back and pay you even more than the original price.
Yeah, or maybe maybe when they can make more. And when you cut a lot of teenagers, which I'm sure Jordan, you probably got like a lot of like the younger crowd, mm-hmm. college kids and stuff that come to you. I know you got some college kids that come to you. When they get out, then not that you do it to return tenfold, but it possibly will. They're in school for a doctor or physical therapy or, a lawyer or some high paying job. And then now all of a sudden, like you helped them out when they were, they didn't have nothing. You gave them a free cut here and there to get them by in their last semester at college. And then one day they're, taking care of you with big time tips or whatever. So obviously it's not the reason you do it, but I'm just saying like, I think people are more willing to, return the favor.
I want to, before I ask you about the free haircuts, I want to give an example of a time I gave a free haircut. I gave 2 in a row, right? So, and this is why it's funny. I cut these college football players, and they were going to school, and they were scraping. They were scraping. It's true. They're eating ramen noodle, even though they're on a meal plan, so they're blessed in that regard. But outside of that, they're scraping. Mm-hmm. So these 2 dudes come in, and I've cut them for a while. Homecoming's coming up. Great guys. I enjoy being around them, and they got bandages on their arm, like what I'm saying, right around like they just gave blood, mm-hmm. and they show up with those on there, and I was like, did you guys just get out of the hospital? What happened? They said, no, we gave plasma. We wanted to have a good homecoming. I said, you guys gave plasma.
I knew it.
To pay for your haircut, and they said, yeah. I was like, listen, I'm not letting you pay. You're giving up your blood to pay for this. This one's on me. Like the struggle was real. So like that's an example. Jordan, what about you? When you're giving out free haircuts, has there been, you got an example or like what qualifications it takes for you to want to give one out?
Like you said, somebody that's having like a hard time, or like I have people like when I'm booked. I have a dude that one of my dudes that was there for me when I was in school. He would hit me up. He hit me up and he was like, "Yo, bro, I really need a cut." He said, "I don't got a job right now, but I got a job. Interview tomorrow, mm-hmm. and I really need a haircut." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a free haircut." And he's like, the next time he came back, he gave me $60.
That's that barbershop movie.
So I mean, it like you said, it comes back, and I've done it plenty of times. I've stayed late, like really late, and cut people for less, not my regular price for late haircuts. But it always comes back. It's always came back for me. So I mean, I feel like it don't cost, like you said, like at one time, it don't cost anything for a free haircut.
No.
So I mean, even if sometimes they might not even be able to give you the whole price, but I just love cutting hair, so I don't really care most of the time.
You have a story like mine where you just felt like something pulled you to give a free haircut, something happened. Other than that, other than the interview, you got another one?
Do I have another one? I know I've gave so many people freaking.
I think every barber does. You have anything like that?
I mean, no, while he's thinking on it though, I'll say like it doesn't mean that if you give discounts is wrong. I do think that if you have core values about yourself or your business, then like just stick to them, And that was something I just formed early on. So
I kind of want to be like that though, but I don't know.
Well, that's why I said it's so important when you come out of school about setting your price and stuff and like your standards for stuff like that, because it's hard to change later. Like if there's somebody you've been giving a discount to for a while, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Hey man, listen, I'm gonna need you to do this." And
then they kind of get hot. They're like,
"I've been doing this for 2 years, man. Yeah. I've been, and you're like, "Well, I've been giving you a discount for 2 years too." Like, so it's much easier to come off of something than it is to go up on something. Mm-hmm. Like the easiest way I can explain it from a teacher perspective is like it's so much easier to be harder on the kids to start the year and then let off the gas pedal as the year goes on. Yeah. Versus like anything goes, do whatever you want, and then try to get strict with them and stuff. They're like, he's playing.
Run, jerk.
You know what I mean? Like it's so much harder to turn on the gas than to let off the gas. Mm. And it's the same way with the pricing. You know what I mean? Like it's so much easier to be like, "Hey, Emma, you've paid full price for 2 years and you've just been a great client. Like, I'm going to give you a free one today, man." That's easy to do. Yeah. But it's hard to be like, "Hey, man, I've been giving you a discount for 2 years. You're going to pay more today."
Everybody's paying the same now.
Yeah, it does. That's tough.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think that I think most barbers do that. Like we'll give a free haircut or maybe discount the cut. I think that's something that we all share in that regard. I think, there's probably people that don't, and I respect you. If you don't, I respect you too. Like that is totally up to you. It's your business. It's how you provide for yourself. I respect that. But in my perspective, like it just feels good to bless somebody once. And sometimes people, a lot of times, if they're great clients, they're going to refuse. Like they're going to throw their card at you or drop money on you. Yeah, like they're not going to do it. Like
they're like had an extra 20 under a towel or something. And you're like cleaning up and you're like, oh, he put money in it.
And I've had that a lot, man. Like you try to, and like some people are scared of it. Like, and I got to be careful because like some of them are even been like running for office, and like I'm like, I wonder if they think I'm trying to like extort them, So I was like, when they're like, okay, I'll pay. I'm not gonna. But that's a really cool perspective, man. This podcast is dope. Trying to think, there's a few more things that I'd like to talk about since y'all are here. Yeah. Another thing is marketing, branding yourself. Jordan, and what are some of the things that you've done to brand yourself? Like, I think it's even more important now if you're going to try to branch off on your own. What are some of the ways that you separate yourself?
I post a lot on Snapchat. Mm-hmm. I use Snapchat because I know I have. Okay, so I know I have most of everybody that I want to see my stuff on Snapchat. And the same thing with Instagram. Everyone's like, I'm going to make 2 accounts, one for Barber and one for my personal life. And I'm like, why would you? I mean, this is my personal opinion. I'm like, why would you make 2 accounts when you got everybody that you want to see, everybody that you know on one account? Why would you just not merge it together? I mean, especially if it's like, I mean, barbering's my life. It's my lifestyle. It's like, I love doing it. So I don't mind merging my lifestyle and barbering together. Yeah. So that's just my personal take on it. Cause I mean, I had like, when I started out, I think I only had like 800, 900 followers. Now I'm up to
20K,
1,500. I wish
blue check
1,500. With blue check, I paid blue check, but like 1,500.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it helps. I've seen that apparently that if you get the check, it's supposed to. If your account gets hacked, you can keep all your personal stuff and you can make another account and just reload everything.
Why does it help? Why do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess people do take you more serious. Some people, yeah. I don't know.
Some people don't like. He ain't bad. He ain't got a blue check.
I know. I feel gassed up when I get a blue check like on mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that makes me look pretty good.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just use it. Use everything that you think that you're more exposed on, that you have more people that you know. Maybe if you're on Facebook more, post more on Facebook. If you're on Snapchat a lot, post on Snapchat. You just got to watch what you post if you're merging certain things with certain, because might be more personal on Snapchat. But I mean, I don't really post on Snapchat besides haircuts.
It's like when you go to your grandma's house, you ain't cussing like you were.
Yeah,
that's how Facebook is. I feel like I'm at my grandma's house.
I need to post more on Facebook too. I really don't post on Facebook.
Facebook is underrated.
Very underrated for your community.
Yeah,
it's very close for your community. And I've been trying to post more on Facebook. So most of the time, I just do Snapchat and Instagram. But I'm starting to just like back off both of them and just do straight Facebook.
I think it just depends on like you knowing your client, knowing your clientele, and where they at.
Yeah.
And wherever they're at, that's where you need to be at. So there's not like a right answer of like you need to be on this or you need to be on this. Like you said, if you see some more people on Facebook and you see that's a need, and then and you need to post more, then do it. But if you're like, hey, none of my people are on there, like, then it may not be worth your time. I don't know. My
Facebook is just kind of like letting my family and friends know what I'm doing, because they really don't know. Like, even though they, like, hey, I know you cut hair. Like, it's a lot, and like I said, it's part of your community. I feel like your closer community, like people around you, would be on Facebook. And I don't know. I just feel like just throwing something up every once in a while. I don't prioritize Facebook at all, but it's just something I like to just let people know what's happening. So, what about you? How do you brand yourself and market yourself as far as mobile barbering? How do you do that?
I mean, this may be a cop-out answer, but the number one way to market yourself is just provide the best service you can, because word of mouth is still undefeated. And, at the end of the day, whenever you're doing a good job and you're producing quality work and you're doing right by people, then ultimately you could just honestly stay booked up before that. Because believe it or not, there are booked barbers before social media. And social media is a great tool. I use it too. and I'll talk about that, I guess, a little bit. But like, I think the main thing is, number one, you can't not lose sight of like that aspect of it. It's clearly the most important. The person in your chair should be the most important person to you, no matter what, every single time. I'd say the second aspect of it is just like I said, knowing the client, but then learning how to do things that are appealing. Not that you can't. First off, you can do a lot with an iPhone now. You know, how old are you, Emma? Are you
30?
Okay, so
Just
I'm
turned
a
30.
little older than both of you guys, but I mean, I remember like, when having a first camera phone and stuff, it was like laughable looking at like content or a picture or whatever. And now it's like you can do a lot with an iPhone, but I've really tried to learn photography and videography with like what I would call, I guess, a real camera, and that's challenged me to be better too, because it's made me better at cutting hair, and it's allowed me another creative outlet, and it makes the level of your content look more professional.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're charging a higher price and you're doing those things, and you're just trying to make sure that all that stuff, everything that you do, looks
Crisp, clean.
yeah, it looks like it should be. Like, right, like if somebody's charging, for $50 haircuts or $100 haircuts or something, and they're filming stuff on iPhone 5, it's like, well,
It looks good. You don't really get to see all the detail that you really
sure
do on your haircuts. So
I'm not saying the phone or the camera is the main thing, but I'm
Yeah.
saying it has. I know for a fact it has helped me, because I've had people say that that's why they came. I saw your Instagram, and it looked like you cared about what you're doing as far as your. It looked professional. It wasn't like, oh, that haircut was fire. It was like, it looked professional.
And that opens you up to another trade too, because somebody might say, "Hey, I want you to take pictures from a wedding," or like, "I want you to take a headshot for this and that." So you're really teaching yourself a whole new skill. And photography right now is hot as well. I mean, it always has been from day one. But I mean, a lot of people are making livings off, specifically doing photography. Like I know a girl that travels, gets paid vacations to go do photographs. Like she's going to Hawaii, she's going to Seattle,
Incredible.
and she just started. She went to college for something else, got a camera, started taking a few classes, and now she's making all this money getting to go and travel and do photography. So it just opens you up to a whole new world.
Yeah, and I'm not on that level or anything by any means.
But you could be.
But I mean, I just learned how to take pictures on a real camera like 7-8 months ago. So I'll say this: I create a lot of content that never gets seen on Instagram, because as an ambassador for like Shark Fin Shears, I create content for them and then I sell it to them. So I can get paid that way as well. But if I didn't know how to use a camera, then that opportunity would not be as, you know what I'm saying?
So once you sell them, the content is no longer yours. You have no authority to post it on your.
It just depends on what it is. But yeah, like that's another revenue stream, I guess, for barbers and stuff. But sometimes we have like a DM group, and I feel like I don't even belong in it, because everybody in there is like 100K followers and stuff. It's like people that have been doing it for 20 years and had the blue check before you could get it, and like all those things.
he's up there. He's up there.
Which, seriously, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm being dead serious. Nothing wrong with that at all. But like, I feel like I don't belong, right? Mm-hmm. And our director of education, he'll throw stuff in there and say, "Hey, I need a video that is this with this shear from this angle and this, that, and the other." And half the people in the DM sometime are they're either booked up or don't do a whole lot of content or whatever, and they miss the boat. I'm like, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do it. Like,
and it's another way for you to kind of earn your worth in the company, right? You feel like you're contributing.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially when you got all those heavy hitters and you feel like you're lower on the totem pole. It's like, yeah, I need to pull my weight a little bit here to
So what's your end goal
earn my keep, I guess.
What's your end goal for being with them?
I don't have an end
You don't have
goal
one?
for being with them. No, I just look at being with them as they're a company that produces a product that I believe in and use every day, and genuinely like the people that are behind the product, and I think they're decent humans, and why not be a part of a community of people like that? Like if you can be, and then, you know, earning a little extra money at the same time is great. So yeah, I'll create stuff a lot of times though that you'll never see on my page, but they'll post it on their page or something and won't have my name on it, but it's because I sold it to them, or you know, other people are doing it too. That's what our job is as ambassadors.
The Common People Barber. You need to follow him on Instagram. Today's podcast was awesome. Is there any closing thoughts that y'all would like to share with the people listening? Is there, Jordan, do you want to go first? Is there anything you want to share?
I want to say what I always say, bro. Live life, have fun, go be great. Don't be scared to fail. Try out new things. Just keep growing.
You get that tatted on you. What about you, Ron? Is there any closing thoughts you want to share?
Just that everything we talked about today had nothing to do with cutting skills, and that should tell everybody out there that, you know, your level of success in our industry, your cutting skills are probably less than half of the equation. Mm-hmm. Not that they're not part of it, but they're not everything that you think it is when you first start cutting hair. And if you're good at all those other things, then you can get your own suite, or you can move up or level up in one way or another, you know. So that fade is cool. That's great. But, you know, what about all these other things? Can you do those too?
I call it the F word. We call it the F word.
The F word.
The F word. Everybody listening, thank you for listening and being with us for so long. We're well over 120 episodes now. So happy to come here on Mondays and to do this for you. If you ever have any questions, anybody that's on this podcast, Ryan, Jordan, Craig, me, any of our guests, I'm sure they're very happy to answer your questions. If you have a topic you would like us to cover, message us, message the page, send it to us individually. If you have advice for us, maybe you hear something that you feel like we could be doing better, please message us and let us know. Don't let us sit up here talking, and because we don't know everything either. We're very open to any suggestions. Thank you very much. Barber College Success. Shout out Craig Charles. Peace.